This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. As always, you're in the right place. I'm really excited today. I got a great guest on. He's actually all the way in the UK, if you can imagine that. But we are brothers in health and wellness for sure. We're on the same page and we're just meeting today. But I think we have a lot of great things to share with you. And he's been in the health and fitness industry for he'll tell us, I think it's over 25, 30 years. And so a lot of knowledge that I know I'm going to learn some stuff from. So Mr. Chris Deavin, thanks for joining me, brother.
No problem, Cliff. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, how did you get started in the fitness or health industry or coaching altogether?
Well, this is in my younger days. I just turned 54 2 days ago, so it's been quite a journey. But I started off to go all the way back, I was into sports.
Yeah.
So growing up here in England, in the UK, and then immigrating to New Zealand when I was a kid, I was very much into sports and very active. So when I went into my working life, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to either be a professional sports person, but I found my talent wasn't good enough for that. So the next best thing was to help people either through sports coaching or health and fitness. And so the natural progression was to go down the personal training route. And back in the late 90s, to become qualified, it was quite a journey and quite an effort, because it was like a 6-month process where you had lessons, weekly lessons, and then, in-person lessons. And then you had an exam that you had to, like a 2-day exam bordering on a medical exam, where nowadays it's very much, you can do a weekend course online and you can call yourself a personal trainer. And, but it was something I wanted to do because it was active. It was to do with physical fitness.
Right.
But I quite quickly learned that actually it's more to do with the mental side than is the physical side when it comes to helping people get fit and healthy. And over the last 25 years, I've moved more away from the physical coaching, which I still do and which I still love, but more towards the helping people when it comes to behavior change and mindset, how to become more resilient, have more grit and perseverance when it comes to sticking with the things they need to do to improve their health. So it's been quite a journey from being a physical fitness trainer to now someone who works more with people on their mental side of their health and fitness, which I think is lacking in the health industry.
Yeah,
it's
I
getting
agree.
better. It's getting better, but it's still very much, I might rock a few boats here, but I always say to people, I don't have a beard, I don't have one armful of tattoos, therefore I can't be working in the fitness industry and I don't have big bulging muscles.
That's right. Yeah.
But what I do have is the life experience, but also the knowledge of what it takes for the average normal person to, be healthy and fit without having it to be, to be big bulging muscles and,
Right. Yeah.
avocado toast and things like that. There's a lot of people out there that would benefit greatly from just sound advice, helping hand, and someone to guide them through all the complexity of what it takes to be fit, strong, and healthy.
Yeah, I agree on the mental part of it, and that kind of goes along with, I try to tell people, or my mother would say, "Oh yeah, are you doing that diet still?" And I go, "No, yeah, it's not really a diet; it's a lifestyle. If you could get people to a lifestyle, it's not something you're going to go on and off." I don't know. I think it was Mark Sisson who I follow in his training, where he says basically, "I'd rather have you be 80% or 70% for the rest of your life than 100% for the next 90 days." Right? I mean,
yeah. It's I kind of I follow Mike Sisson, and I follow the James Clear of the world, and
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
and it's about creating a lifestyle, but more importantly, an identity of who you want to be. So I'm a level 2 master coach of precision nutrition. I don't know if
Right.
you know them,
No.
John Berardi, but they very much work on the behavioral change, and it's more about the process than the outcome.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
So if you can,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, if you can embrace the process and you can love the process, the outcome kind of takes care of itself. So instead of
Yeah.
saying I'm on a diet, it is more I am eating a certain way to live a certain life, and we can call that a diet if we like, but it's just a way of life for people. So I eat a certain way that works for me,
Right.
but I don't necessarily call it a diet. It's just what works for me and what I can find I can do consistently.
Yeah.
And I identify as someone who eats well on a consistent basis without it being a structured, complex, diet that takes a lot of effort to follow.
No, I like
That's
I like that, because if you can get to a point where you intuitively, were depending where you're at, what's my best choice now, without getting into. And I mean, you've seen these people; they're measuring, they're weighing their food. It's just not sustainable, and it goes to what you're saying. If you can
correct.
get to a point where it's kind of intuitive, you're going to make the best choice. But it's not hard; it's simple to make those choices.
Yeah, it's what I've learned over the years of coaching people is how can I keep it as simple as possible
Right?
for the person in front of me to be able to do consistently.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you've got to get out of the way of the person that you're coaching, and if what they can do and they can do it consistently, then it's my job as a coach to help them stay on that path, instead of me saying, I'm the expert, this is you should be doing this. The person will do it because they're paying you to be the expert, but if they can't then do it consistently,
Yeah.
then if you talk to any of my clients, I say to them, what's the C word? And they go, consistency.
Yeah.
Okay, consistency. And it is really repetitive, consistently. But that's what, in your life,
Yeah.
what you end up doing consistently is what you end up being.
Right.
So I
I'm
think a
glad you.
coach's job.
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm glad you said
That's
that,
right.
because I'm just about done with Mark Sisson's Primal Health Coach Institute, and the coaching segment is basically is what you said, and they go right along with what you said. It's client led, right? What is their major goal that they want to accomplish, and how do we help them hold themselves accountable instead of us holding them accountable? They're going to make those choices. So it kind of goes to what you were saying.
Yeah, and it's kind of leads to, I think, the biggest issue in the health and fitness industry is just that. Too many people become the leader,
Yes.
and people feel they have to, okay, I'll follow you because you're the expert and you're in good shape and good health. Where I think a successful coach, in the sense of the client achieving their goals, is the one that kind of is in the background.
Right.
There's a great photo I saw years ago, and I always kind of explain to people what personal training is. And there's 6 pictures, and the first picture is what my clients think I do, and there's a sergeant major just shouting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it goes what Mark thinks I do, and it's an aerobics class. And then what the public think I do, and there's a young male personal trainer in the park with a young female. What my friends think I do, and then what I think I do, and it's Clint Eastwood in The $1 Million Baby in the
Yeah.
corner with the boxer, and just chatting, just speaking to the boxer.
Yeah.
And that is what coaching really is. You're in the fight. You're the fighter.
Yeah.
I'm on the side helping you
Yeah.
fight and make the right decisions. But I can't fight for you. I can't get in
Right.
the ring for you. You need to do it yourself.
That's a great metaphor.
I think that's a good coach is someone who is on the sidelines, helping more than kind of leading or taking over and saying, follow me. The client's got to learn themselves.
That's
in
right.
that.
Yeah.
And I think in the industry, what I've seen, I think that's probably the biggest mistake we make. When I started in the late 90s, I remember coming across a statistic that showed that United States, Australia, and the UK had the three most profitable health industries, fitness and gym industries.
Yeah.
But at the same time, US, Australia, and UK had the highest rates of obesity.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself then, why is they missing? Why are they going in different directions? One is meant to be helping people get fitter and stronger. They're making a lot of money from it. But at the same time, the nation as a whole is getting less healthy. And it hasn't got any better in the last 25 years.
No.
So it made me think, okay, what are we doing wrong that's not delivering the results that people expect the industry to deliver? And I think it's down to that, what we just spoke about the coach being on the sidelines, helping someone fight their own journey, but they've got to take responsibility. They've got to take the lead, and we're there to help them make sure they don't make mistakes or waste their time and effort doing the wrong things, because we're the technical experts, the knowledgeable ones. But they've got to take the lead more than us, being the leader. And follow me, do as I say, and you'll be fine. I've never really found that's worked for the average person.
No, you're right.
I don't know if you know, in the fitness industry, we class people into three groups: the 10%ers, the 30%ers, and the 60%ers.
No, go ahead with that.
Yeah. So the 10%ers are you and I. We love exercise, love health. We read up on stuff. We love all the technical and knowledgeable stuff. We know how to do a back squat.
Yeah.
We know, the micronutrient ratios of a good diet. And the public who are like that, they gravitate to us and we gravitate to them.
Right.
We speak each other's language, And then you got the 30%ers who, have a good interest in health and fitness and want to live a good, healthy, strong life. But it doesn't drive their life. They've got other interests and so forth. But they will, on 80% of the time do the right things and they go along quite well. And then you got your 60%ers who have no interest really in health and fitness. They know it's good for them. They know they need to make changes, but they don't have the love or passion for it. And therefore they'll dip out on a very regular basis. They'll try things for, on average, a couple of weeks. If it doesn't get them amazing results, they move on. And there's an industry, we kind of leave them to their own devices because they don't speak our language. They're not as motivated or passionate as we are. And I think as an industry, we've got to turn our eyes away from the 10%ers and the 30%ers more to the 60%ers and say, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
What is it I can do that will get you being more consistent towards being healthier? You don't have to love it. You don't have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
But what can I do to help you move forward? And I think that's where we're lacking, and hence why the two are missing each other and crossing over.
Yeah, my
that's
mom,
what I'm trying to do in my business.
My mom's 88, and she was just here. She did a plank for over a minute, and she got watching me as a youngster working out, and so she started really walking because me and my wife at our summer place, we'd all be together, and she would start walking. Maybe she was 70 when she started, so now she still walks like 4 times a week, 3 to 4 miles each time, and she had a friend who never did an ounce of exercise, but her attitude was in the 60%. Like, well, what does it matter anyways? I mean, we're old. And and my mom was just like, I don't know how they have that mentality. She really couldn't lead him out of it. Of course, and her friend just passed away because they basically atrophied and wasted away. But, my mom's always learning and reading. 88, and she'll be reading, Peter Tia's book, or she'll be reading all these books.
Yeah. That's a good book. That is a good book.
Yeah, I love him because he's in that centenarian mindset, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is, I think, the challenge we have though is how do we speak? How do we talk to her friends? Now, I
Yes.
can talk
Yeah.
to your mum. She'll get it. She'll go, oh yeah, I get that. I can do a plank for a minute.
Yeah.
I know all this stuff. But it's her friend. How do we engage with her?
Yeah.
How do we become helpful to her? And we need to learn their language. We
Yeah.
need to simplify things. We need to meet them where they are and not expect them to rise up to us. And I'll be of help to you when you get to this point. But
Right.
actually, we've got to come down to them and say, okay, tell me what you need, and do that. And we've got to break down those barriers, reduce the friction between us
The
and them.
friction. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
So
Reduce the
as a
friction.
business,
Yeah.
what I try to do is learn more about how I communicate with people. I've got a degree in strength and conditioning science. I've got PT qualifications from all the top, educators and so forth. And I did that for a number of years. I spent a lot of money on my education, learning all this stuff. And the last 5 or 6 years, I've stopped doing that because I don't need to know anymore, because the majority of people don't need 90% of what I know. They don't
That's
need
right.
that.
Yeah.
They need the 10% that I know. So I've moved more towards learning how to communicate
Yep.
and talk to people.
Yeah.
And I think as an industry, we should be learning that. It's amazing when you go onto like YouTube and watch all the videos on how to do something.
Right.
And in the last 20 years, Cliff, that hasn't changed. How people teach exercise hasn't changed.
No.
They might present it differently, but the basic fundamentals haven't changed, which they shouldn't because of the fundamentals. So that's not what people need. They don't need to know how to do an exercise properly.
That's
It's
right.
important.
Yeah.
It's important, but I know most people don't do it so badly that they're going to cause severe injury.
Injury. No.
What they need is the accountability and the consistency in doing
Yeah.
those things, the fundamentals, over and over and over again. But I just kind of always see the same messages being pumped out.
Oh no, it has to be. I kind of think it's funny. I'll ask your experience, how you got into the strength and fitness. So I started as a young boy of 50. I was so skinny that I had a mental incapacity of I couldn't gain weight, and so I started immersing myself in bodybuilding, muscle and fitness, power magazines, and so for the next 30 years, even when I went to LA working out at Gold's Gym and being around, learning how the muscles work and contract in combination with each other. And after a while, you're right, you just can't, there's only a couple different variations. But I found it interesting when I would see people, they would, I'm going to physical therapy for this or my shoulder. And it was really the same movements we already learned in bodybuilding or strength and fitness. It wasn't no different. But you're right. You get to a certain point. I can't learn any more about the biochemics of exercising, so I can focus on something else.
Yeah, I once saw a list of 52 different bicep exercises.
Yeah, yeah.
Bicep, which can do two things: flex the elbow and rotate the forearm.
Correct.
And there's 52 different ways to work it. And I was thinking, come on, that's not what people need. People need, how do I stick to this? How do I become the person that is identified as being fit and healthy? More than the 52 ways to do a bicep curl. So I've got, as I say, I've got all the qualifications and the knowledge of that stuff. And I would talk to people about it, and you can see their eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
And I nod the head and go, yeah, that's how, oh, wow, that you really know your stuff.
Yeah.
And then they'd go away and they'd come back for a session a week later and say, so how did you get on? Well, this popped up and this happened and I couldn't do it and things like that. And I would say, okay, there's no point going over these exercises with you again because you haven't practiced them.
Yeah.
So how do I
mental, right?
practice,
yeah.
Yeah. How do I get you to practice them more instead of saying, right, I'll reteach you how to do it.
Yeah.
And that, as I say, I just think that's the biggest challenge we face as a society when it comes to being fit and healthy.
Yeah.
is how do we get people just to stick to doing it? I've got a client at the moment who's 120 kgs, which I think is about 260
Okay.
pounds. And she wants to be 90 kilograms, which is about 200 pounds.
Okay.
So that's where she wants to get to. And we're talking about, okay, what does a 90 kg, 200-pound person live like? What's
Right.
what do they live like? Because it's not the life you're living right now.
That's
That's
good.
the life for a 260-pound person.
Right.
So how does a 200-pound person live their lives? And can we replicate that? And can we do it consistently? And so we're doing every day we're looking at the habits and behaviors that are needed, and we're building that consistency. When she's built that consistency and it's just ticking over, then I go,
Yeah.
right, now I'm going to show you how to do a squat properly.
Right.
Because I know she's in this mindset now of being consistent, and she'll go away and practice a squat. Where if I started teaching that from day one and she hadn't built consistency, the skill of consistency, I could teach her the squat, but she wouldn't go away and practice enough to get good at it because she hadn't learned the most important skill of consistency.
Right. Exactly.
So that's what the kind of the crux of my coaching business is now, is how do I get people, and you said at the start, or with Mike Sisson program, how do we get someone being 80% consistent?
Right. Yeah.
That's great. If someone's only 20% consistent, how do I get them to 30%? 80 is good. I want to get them to 80. 100 is even better.
I think they should shoot for 100, but 80 is going to be good. But they don't shoot for 80. Shoot for the 100. Yeah.
Well, I'll push back on that. I have some clients who I call the 100%ers.
Yeah.
I tell them what to do, and they just do it. And they come back and go, so Pat, did you do these things? Oh, yeah, did them all. And I always go, oh, cool. I'm not used to that. I'm used to clients not doing everything I recommend they do. And I found out of 100 clients, I get one or two like that.
Right. Yeah.
They got that mindset. They got that, character. That they just do it. No questions asked, just get it done. And they're very rare. They're
very rare. Yeah.
What is more common is people who are down below 50%. So to them, 80% is 100%.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I want to get them as close to 80. Now, if they can get from 80 to 100, yeah, it's okay. But I'm not a 100%er. And I love health and fitness and exercising. And
me too. I'm not 100. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100%er. So I'm not going to expect my clients to be 100%ers. But I'm working towards is they become that 10% more consistent than they were.
Yeah.
And then we go another 10%, then we go another 10%, another 10%. The only downside of that approach, it takes time. And we live in a world and a society where taking time is not really, embraced. It's all about now, what can I achieve now? Well, this might take 12 months. How do you stay consistent for 12 months? So taking them step by step, building on it, I think is more chance of them being successful over a year than trying to get them as quickly as possible to 80% or 100%. Again, work at their pace. What are they capable of doing? And if at this moment they can get from 20 to 30%, that's a win. That's got them going.
That's important too. We don't want that win a year from now. We can have some wins starting today, this week. And, I don't know, I like to metaphorically look at things, right? Like you said, we want to get to that top step, but we got to start with the bottom step, then we'll get to the next one, and we're going to get there. But you're right. Yeah. That's really good.
There's a story about the first person to walk solo across the Sahara Desert. It was 500 miles.
Yeah.
And it was a French guy, and what they did is they put a barrel every mile. So he walked from barrel to barrel. And he was asked at the end, He said, how did you get your head around walking 500 miles in the desert? He said, well, no, I only walked a mile from one barrel to the next barrel. It was just a mile.
That's right.
So he only had to focus on a mile, because he said, if I then complete 500 of those, then I'm at the end.
That's
and that
right.
goes
Yeah.
back to what I spoke about, the process versus the outcome. If
Yeah.
you just take care of the process, the outcome will happen. So with my clients, what's the process that they consistently can do?
Yeah.
And will take care of itself. So going back to the client saying, okay, what is it you can do right now? I'm here to help you do that. Now, we might think going, oh, come on, you can do more than that. We can get to our goal quicker than this. But it's, again, comes back to that consistency. All I want to do is get my clients to be consistent, and they will reach the end in the time that it takes to reach the end. Now, as a coach, you've got to, as you say, have those small wins along the way. So you've got to have, you can't just say, it's going to take a year before you see any difference. They will see the difference, and that helps keep the consistency. But at the same time, you've got to make that very aware to them that this is going to be a tough journey. This is not going to be easy. If it was easy, you'd be there already. This is going to be really tough. So how do we embrace that? How do we accept the toughness that will come with it? And if they're willing to do that, then they will move forward. But if they're not willing to accept the toughness that will come with it, then they'll get to the first hurdle and then back off.
Right.
So I don't know is what you do, but I know that resilience is so important to this. What I call staying in the game. Don't tap out. Just stay in the game.
Stay in it.
Yeah. And as long as you do that and be resilient, those tough times will go away. They will disappear.
Absolutely.
And then you're on to the next challenge, and you from there. So along with consistency, I work with my clients on resilience and perseverance, which I think is lacking in just society as a whole now.
It is, yeah.
I think his name is Mike Easter, but he wrote a book called The Comfort Crisis.
Yep, that's him. Yep.
And he talks about how society is geared towards comfort, and discomfort is discouraged. Are you comfortable? Yes, good. Are you uncomfortable? Yeah. Well, okay, we'll do what we can to make you comfortable. And actually, discomfort is a much better learner. You can learn more from discomfort than you can from comfort.
Yeah.
So telling your clients that this is going to be uncomfortable, but that's okay. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
Embrace in a way, embrace it. If it's not uncomfortable, look for discomfort. Go out.
You and I embrace it. They try to avoid it. Yeah. I'm looking for it.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the difference between the 10% and the 60%.
Yeah, you're right.
Love the discomfort. So a big part as well is teaching them that to be consistent, you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think as coaches, if we lay that out at the start,
right,
and we say this is the deal, okay, then people know what they're getting into, and you can, as a coach, you can very much assess someone's ability to change on their acceptance of discomfort. If someone's not willing to accept discomfort, then the change isn't really going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but anything I've achieved of note has always been a period of discomfort.
Oh yeah, definitely. It adds value to it. I think, it's just like anything. Wow, I got through that. If it was so easy, there wouldn't be any value to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. Value plays a big part in how someone moves forward. What's the value that you've placed on it? And discomfort.
Do you find
have you ever
that
spent
out,
money? Sorry.
Do you find that out on like in the coaching, Mark Systems coaching learning system? So they have like what they call a discovery call to your initial kind of, to find out where they're at and if you can be a good fit for them. Is that how you kind of find out if they're willing to do those things?
Yeah, I had a business coach in the past, who once said to me, the problem with you, Chris, is you think you can help everyone and not everyone can be helped. And I was very like, no, Nick, no, everyone can be helped. I just got to find a way of helping them. And over the years, I've always thought about that when I've come in contact with a new client. Can they be helped? Am I
Right.
just, logging a dead horse here? Do they really want to change? But then my other side of my brain goes, everyone can be helped. You just have to find the right approach to them. So I'm still, fighting that battle between the two sides of my brain, saying, well, they can't be helped because they're not willing to go through discomfort. But then my other side of the brain goes, well, don't give up on them because maybe you haven't delivered the message well enough.
Yeah.
So, yes, I can from the start. I've been doing it for so many years now. I can tell from the first 5 minutes of a conversation where this is going.
Yeah. Good.
And a good example is just ask the question, why are you here?
Yep. What
And if
brought you
they
here
say,
today? Yeah.
yeah, because so and so said I should come and speak to you, straight away these red lights go off, and I go, okay, that's not the right answer. You've got to be here because you want to be here. And I usually find that don't last for long, because as soon as you introduce discomfort, they don't see any value in it because they're not there for themselves. They're there because someone recommended they should be. So they don't value what they're going to get through going through discomfort. Like, do you ever spend money on things you don't value?
No.
No one does.
No.
We always spend money on what we value at the time. We might regret it later. We go, no, it's not as valued to me as it was. But at the time, you spent money on something you value the most. And that's the same with health and fitness. How much value have you placed on the goal will tell me if you're willing to go for discomfort or not. If the value is low, the first discomfort we encounter, you will probably give up.
Right.
But if you place enough value on the outcome, then actually it's not discomfort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to be here. I want to do this.
Yeah.
My own personal journey on that is the last 6 years I've got into ultra marathons.
Oh, great. Wow.
And yeah, I'm not good at them, but I do love them because they take me out of my comfort zone and put me in a place where I feel uncomfortable. I feel, this is going to be tough. But as the years have gone on, I've actually I go looking for it now.
How long? What's your longest marathon? What's the longest you've done?
The longest I've done is 180 miles.
Oh my God! How long did you do that in? It's like
it's about 3.5 days.
Wow! And you loved it, huh?
Well, I say that, but I know people who've done it in 48 hours. The race I did, so it puts me. I was like, God, I was slow.
Oh my God!
But that's the beauty about the ultra marathon community. It's not about winning or time. It's about did you challenge yourself? Did you come away going, my God, that was tough?
I didn't even know that existed till I was watching something by David. David Goggins, obviously.
Yeah. He was going to carry the boats and the logs.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, he's done some of those Moab, ultra marathons, and oh my goodness, Rich Roll and those guys. Yeah, man, he's into it. He loves it, man.
But what I like about it, though, Cliff, is it is purely it's between you and the distance. It really is. I know people say that, just focus. It's all about you and what you can achieve. Don't worry about anyone else. But ultra marathon is truly that. You can't worry about you can't worry about anyone else, because if you do, and you tried to be someone different than who you are because the competition around you is forcing you to become, be a different person in the sense that, oh, I feel really good. I can run this in a much faster time than I planned. Then, 6 hours later, the wheels are going to come off.
Yeah.
You've got to just stick to what you can do and be consistent with that. And just stay at the pace that you're running at. Don't worry about anyone else around you. It's between you and the distance. And when I was in my teens, my 20s, I did track. I did 100 and 200 meters.
Wow.
I was quick, but clearly not quick enough. But I was quick, and I thought 400 meters was long. That was tough. And now I do 180 miles because it gets me out of my comfort zone. It gets me.
It does, yeah.
I've always loved running. I identify as a runner. I just love running. I don't belong to any clubs. I don't, or anything like that. I just like going out running. Just put a pack on my back, go out running on the trails. I don't need anyone else. I don't need a watch. I just go and run.
Just go, yeah.
So with the ultras, it was very much, okay, I can do 180. So what does 200 feel like?
Wow.
What does 220 feel like? Because you're always thinking, okay, I don't have to run it nonstop. I just need to see if I can do that distance in one go. And one of the biggest discoveries I made was I don't have to always run. Now, as a runner, it's
in your mind, you never walk, right? Yeah, you always run.
Yeah, you just keep running, and then but when you do ultras, you think, well, I can't do that. Not even the top, not even the David Goggins or the whole thing. They will walk at some time. So it gave me a lot of freedom to go, it's okay to actually walk.
There's no guilt. There's no guilt with that. Yeah.
Because I can now go further.
Yeah.
I can now. The 180 doesn't seem so impossible because I can walk it.
Yeah.
I can run it if I want. And the mantra I have is I'll walk when I want and I run when I can.
Gotcha. Okay.
And long as so the reason I'm telling this story is anyone can do this.
Right.
If you place enough value on it, but also you have a self-belief that it's possible. And by discovering that I can walk, it gives me so much more self-belief that I can go even further. I can do this. Nothing can stop me. If I want to do it, I'll do it. And so my self-belief has, really gone.
I'm so into have an unlimited mindset. I was a sergeant on the LA Sheriff's Department, and I was working the desk on, we covered the subway and the buses, and a gentleman came in who was a reserve officer, and he was cleared to go by himself. So he came in to get a car, go out and write some tickets. And so I saw his Trident thing on there, and he goes, oh, yeah, I was SEAL Team 1 and this and that. And the guy's 72 years old. He's going out in the car. And so I'm Navy SEAL. That's. He goes, oh, anybody could do it. You could have done it. Because it's in your mind. You just don't quit. But the way he talked about it was like, oh, it's not that big a deal. You just don't quit. But, man, he was something, this guy. Yeah, but I love that kind of thing.
So in my coaching, there's 3 areas that I'll work on with clients.
Tell me,
without them knowing I'm working on it.
Yeah,
the first one is perseverance.
Right.
How can I teach someone perseverance? As I said earlier, just stay in the game, don't tap out.
Yeah.
The next area is environment. How can I help them create an environment that is conducive to the person they want to become? And then the last one is self-belief. How can I help them believe that it's possible? That if they stay in the game, they persevere, they will get what they want.
Yeah.
And so going back to the ultramarathons, I use what I learn in those moments to then pass on to other people. That, like the Navy SEAL guy, anyone can do it.
Right.
Anyone can do it. Now, some might take longer than others, but if you really want to do it, you'll find a way.
You'll find a way.
You just have to believe in the process and consistently do it. And even if you don't get to be a Navy SEAL, you'll get a lot further down the road than you believed you could have.
That's right.
And that's the most important thing. So I say to all my clients that any of you can do an ultra marathon. It's just if you want to. If
That's
you
right.
want to.
If you want to, it's what you want to do.
So when I'm in the dark,
Yeah,
trudging up a really steep hill on one of these ultras, I say to
man.
myself, I've chosen to be here. This is
Yeah,
my choice. No one's forced me to do this. And it's uncomfortable right now, but in 5 days' time, it won't be. I'll look back on this and go, I did that.
yeah, that's right.
I had a very close friend who died of cancer back at the end of 2020.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And she used to come on these challenges. We did a couple of challenges together that were quite tough. And she had cancer. And she used to wake up every day in pain, just in discomfort. But she always smiled. She would never know it. You could tell that she was in pain, but she would never. I'm in pain, Chris. I can't do this today. She would just get on with it. So I always now, when I'm in a bit of discomfort, I go, yeah, but this isn't every day. I don't wake up every day feeling like that. So just suck it up, experience it, and then in 5 days' time, you'll feel fine.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it. So anyone can do it if you want to do it. It's not, the discomfort never lasts.
That's right. Yeah.
Get easier. To the point now, as I said, I'm out looking for it. When I've done a long run and I don't come back feeling uncomfortable, I go, well, I need to find something different to make me uncomfortable. That wasn't uncomfortable enough. I need to now go and find something that is. Because I don't want to lose the edge. I don't want to lose the edge on.
Yeah.
Because when I do feel discomfort, I don't want it to be something I'm not used to.
Right. Yeah.
I want to get uncomfortable. Go, there it is.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true.
It's what they call the pain cave. If you don't,
I didn't know
if
that.
you know the
Pain
term
cave. Okay.
So you go into your cave and you see how deep in the cave or how long you can stay in the cave before you pop back out.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's great.
And the great ultra marathon runners can stay in their pain cave
a
lot
time.
longer than most people.
Yeah.
But because they're the best and they're really good at what they're doing, doesn't mean they're not going through pain.
That's right. Yeah.
To them, they have to go through pain. It's just part of what they do.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to be the best at this. It's going to be uncomfortable. So
I'm going to pay that price. What is your next big run coming up? Do you got something coming up?
Yeah, it's 100K, so 62-mile race that I do every year from London to a place called Brighton on the south coast of England.
Okay.
And it's kind of iconic. There's always a cycle race that people do every year.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like a vintage car race as well that goes from London to Brighton. But we do it on foot, so we're the hard ones.
You're the tough ones, man.
People always say, so I'm doing the London to Brighton. Oh, the cycle race. I go, no, foot race. I go, foot race.
I got to look that up.
It's like,
yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
My wife, who used to be a great runner, but now she bikes. But so we went to, and you'll know, we went to Mallorca last September. She did the bike riding, and I went to the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy. But I ran into a big group from London, because I guess it's only a couple-hour flight over to Mallorca. So they go every year.
I just had a client last week have a cycle holiday in Mallorca.
Oh, yeah, she loved it. But she was really pushed. She was like, wow. She goes, if I had known ahead of time in my head that this was what, I wouldn't have done it. But since she didn't know, she just went there and got it done. And she did really well.
Yeah. What does that say about people who know how tough it's going to be and then still do it?
I know, right? We're masochistic, I think. I don't know. Do you ever find, because you're 5 or?
54.
54. I'm 66. So,
wow.
So I went over to Mallorca. I'm doing the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy. And part of it is that there's an hour of fitness in the morning, then you do tennis in the afternoon. So, and these fitness guys, they don't care about what you're doing in the afternoon. They're just there for their session. But it's all geared towards tennis health. But I did it all, but I mean, it was tough. It was challenging to me. And I had to remind myself, these people are like 30 years old. I forget that I'm 66, right? And so I had to give myself a break. Do you have to remind yourself? Because I feel just as good as I did at 30.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you the question. What do you think about age? Do you see it as a barrier? Do you see it as something that you have to take into account? Or do you just go on by how you feel and go, well, this is what I can do, and I'll do it to
Well,
the best of my.
I felt myself slowing down or getting a little bit logy or sluggish around age 50, 53 or 4. And then my dad, then I got into, I saw that forks over knives, whatever, and documentary about meat and dairy and heart disease, and we can reverse it. My dad was suffering from heart disease, and so then I drastically changed my diet, and then, man, I really started feeling great and really energetic, and all my numbers came down, except over the long run, my glucose numbers didn't come down. So now I've gone to this more paleo kind of a nutritious, more, nutrient dense foods. And I mean, I just feels, and that's the only reason I like to share my workout videos. I just want more people to, because, too many people have that mindset, right, Chris? And, well, it's just part of aging, No, it's not.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at.
My background when it comes to that is my mum passed away at 71, but she smoked and drunk for 50 years.
Yeah.
So in a way, you got to 71, I'd see it as a well done. Where my dad is 75 and he lives in New Zealand and he does a lot of hiking or what they call tramping. And he does around over 50 a year.
Wow.
So that's more than one a week. And he goes up into the bush with a big pack on his back. So I look at my dad at 75 and I look at my mum who passed away at 71 and go, it's not an age thing. It's not an age thing. So when I see people who are elderly and they're struggling, I kind of say to myself, that's not what old age is.
No, it's
and
not.
I think a lot of people, because it's becoming more common, people think, that's what it's like to be 75. And then I look at my dad and go, well, no, that's 75. I look at you and you're in good shape at 66.
Yes, sir.
So I know that if I keep doing what I'm doing and be consistent with it and become into my lifestyle, then when I get to 66, I'll be in good health. When I get to 75, I can still run up hills. That's what's possible.
Right.
Not the common societal belief of what old age is.
Yeah.
I came across a stat last year about every 12 months. Well, you've got a chance of dying in the next 12 months, and it's something like 0.1% at this stage. But as you get older, that percentage gets higher and higher and higher. And it's only until you get to 92 that it's more than 50% chance of dying in the next 12 months.
Wow.
That's at 92. And the average age of people living is about 80, 78 to 80.
78, 80, yeah.
So we're losing 14 years of life before it becomes more than 50% chance of dying.
Yeah.
That's down to the environment that we live in and the attitudes we have
and the
towards
attitudes.
Health. Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad died.
If I don't make it to 92, I'd be upset.
My mom's boyfriend just passed away. He was 94 and he drove right up to the week before he died. So he lived until he died. He certainly did. And my dad was around 40 and he had been a smoker, not really a heavy drinker, but a drinker. And his dad had died of emphysema, my grandfather, but I remember being in the hospital and he was on the edge of the bed. He couldn't even, and I remember my mom said, just keep doing what you're doing because you're going to be dead in a year. And man, he never smoked again. And he never drank again. And he got diabetes at 57. And I ended up giving him a book. I forgot. Dr. Bernstein was the book he was diabetic and he actually became a doctor. And so my dad told me that I saved his life, but he went on and he was so in control of his sugar from there until 83 that he was amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it shows that no matter where you are in life, you can make the changes.
Absolutely. And that's my bullhorn, just like I know yours is. And well, we're going to close up in about 10 minutes. So let's, I'm going to be respectful of your time and thank you for having this conversation with me. And I'm really into, how are you fueling yourself on these runs? A lot of these ultras are kind of switching from the carbo loading, and they're getting more into a ketogenic burning thing. What are you doing to fuel your runs?
Before I go into that, what I'd like to say is you've got to find your own way of what works for you. So whatever I'm going to say, what
that works for you, right? Yeah.
I've seen it with other people; they will follow what I'm doing, and then they tank, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
So for me, what I've come up with is something that I've worked on for the last 6 years and fine-tuned and played around with, and just found it works for me. So on the real long run, so like I'll be doing a 10-hour training run. So I'll get up at 5 in the morning, head off at 6.
Wow, you'll do a 10-hour training run? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, you have to.
I guess you would. I mean, yeah.
You've got to find out what food is like on the 9th hour.
That's right.
Do like 3, and then when you do an event and it takes more than 10 hours, how do you know what food is right for you as the hours go on?
That's right. You've already been there. So when you get to the run, I've already been here. I know what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is what it's meant to feel like. It's not like, oh, I've never experienced this before. Is this right? Am I doing the right thing here? But if you've experienced it before, this is normal. This is how it should feel. So I have these energy gels that I take every hour. Yeah. And the brand I use, I can have up to 16 hours, one every hour for 16 hours, and I feel fine. My gut doesn't feel bad, and I feel fine. So that's kind of my little energy on the hour every hour. Just gives me that boost. More to do with hydration, as long as you stay hydrated. Make sure salt intake is good. So I always have some cashew nuts, salted cashew nuts.
Salts are so important, aren't they? Yeah, salts.
Yeah.
Really,
and then, I might have a bag of crisps or chips that are salted. I did a run last year where my left hamstring started cramping up, and I had half a bag of salted crisps, chips, and it just went away.
Oh, wow. Salt.
That
salt.
Was, help hamstring. So a lot of it is you're finding it different, because with ultra marathons, you can have different weather on one day, so you might need to have more salt and fluids. With other days, it's colder and wetter, so you don't have to. The fueling is different, so you have to play around with it and see different conditions. And when it is more than saying, right, on hour 1, I'm going to have this mixture of electrolytes and blah, 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 and then the next hour I'm going to do it like this. You can really plan it out.
Right, yeah.
But that can go to can completely go to pot when you suddenly on a hot day, or the train is different. You have to work harder because the train is different, so you need more energy than you normally would take on. So it's a really hard one to say. Just because this is my fueling strategy for the race 3 months ago, this race tomorrow could be completely different. So you've got a basic framework, but you've got to play with it.
It's not hard and fast. No. And you mentioned, so it's a tight knit community, huh? There's a good social atmosphere to it.
Yeah, you meet. What I found, Cliff, on these races is these people. People, you look at them, and I do it all the time. You judge a book by its cover. And you look at these people and you go, "Oh, you're going to struggle today," and then 10 hours into it, they pass you. And you go, "How?"
Oh, yeah.
What's I'm super fit and strong, and I'm doing all this, and you're just, because they've got this mindset that I've spoken to some of them who they just keep going. They just go, well, it's just what I do. I just keep going, and they can't explain why they're doing it, how they do it, or how they keep going. They just say it's just what I do. And I find these people just fascinating. I've learned so much from people who you would not see as athletes, or they're going to take a lot of hours to complete this. There's one lady who does the company I do the ultra marathons for, they do about 12, 13 a year.
Wow.
And she does every single one.
What? You're kidding me.
Every weekend, she'll go and do one every weekend. She's in her 60s.
Is that amazing?
And she'll take, on average, she takes about 35 hours to complete them.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
That's inspiring. Wow.
And I talk to her name's Kate, and I go, Kate, every time I see her at these events, I say, you just inspire me.
Yeah.
Because the top runners will complete these events in 10 hours. She'll take 35 hours. And if you said to these top people, oh, by the way, you've got another 25 hours to go, they'll just look at you and go, I can't do that. But Kate's doing it. She's off doing 55 hours. So that community, those people who just won't give up, I love being around those people.
Yeah. Have you heard of it's called the Baker to Vegas. It's a relay race. And it started in the 80s with LAPD, but these are police departments that come from all over the world. It's a 120-mile race in the desert from Baker, California to Las Vegas. And it takes, I think, 12 hours. They have teams of 20, I believe. And there's all different kinds of classes. But I can't, like Italy won it last year. People, they come from London, everywhere around the world. These police departments come, hundreds and hundreds of them. But it's quite a race, and most of the legs are 6 to 8 miles. But and it runs through the night, and they run into Vegas like 6 a.m. and there's a whole big thing. But that community, I know is big. Yeah,
that community though, when they all come together and doing something collectively together, and that's what I find on the ultra marathons. You kind of see the same people.
Yeah.
And if they can do it, I came out of an aid station once with about like a marathon to go, and this guy, he must have been in his 80s.
Wow.
He was just shuffling along, and I said, "How's it going?" He didn't even look up. He just, "Yeah, fine." He just had his head down. He was just going, and at that moment, I said, "There's no way I'm not going to finish this, because he's going to finish it."
Are you telling me there's 80-year-olds in these ultra marathons?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I just knew that he was going to complete it. So there's no way I'm going to give up if an 80-year-old guy is going to complete it.
There's no way.
He wouldn't have got this far with it and not completed it. So I'm going to go, well, I'm just going to keep going. And if it's hurting and I'm tired, so what?
I love it. I love your attitude. We'll wrap up here. I want to thank you for your time and sharing all this stuff with you. Is there any platforms I can send people to, or do you have a YouTube, or do you have a coaching?
Yeah, I've got a YouTube. To be honest, I need to get more into social media.
I'll put the link, because it's on your Podmatch. I'll put the link to your YouTube in my YouTube description, and also put it in the show notes of the podcast platforms where we're at. Yeah. And I really appreciate you. Great conversation. I love talking about this stuff. And
loved it, Cliff. I hope it inspires people, and that 60% is to go out and just become that different person and persevere and be consistent. And if we can do that through having a chat, then it's great.
You never know who you're influencing. I certainly learned that a long time ago, and you may not ever know it, but sometimes you hear back and you realize you're always influenced somebody who might be listening. So I appreciate you sharing all these great thoughts with me, and you're awesome. Hang around after the show, and we'll just do a little debriefing. But Chris Deavin, appreciate it, brother. And
no problem.
I'll see everybody on the next episode. Thanks.